Yes, from the work I've done now for over 3 decades, my observation and experience of working with thousands of people is that misunderstanding is by volume the number one source of misery and suffering in relationships. I would go on to say that it is the primary cause of divorce. So often the reasons given for divorce are articulated from acts of infidelity, disagreements over money, growing apart, living different lives. There's a number of reasons now that there are more nuanced than they ever have been. But all of these, from my perspective, are byproducts of the primary issue in all relationships, which is misunderstanding. So the follow-on question then is, where does this misunderstanding come from? Why does it matter? The misunderstanding that my research has uncovered is archetypal in nature. And what that specifically means is that we have a natural, and I think it's within our DNA, we have a natural DNA driven leaning into one of the four major archetypal aspects of the human psyche. Why is this so important? It's important because these natural leanings engage unconscious implicit values and beliefs. Beyond that, it also creates how we process life, how we deal with various circumstances, how we handle breakdowns, how we handle fights, what upsets us, what do we need to feel reassured, what gives us stress and what reduces our stress, and they're all different. Each of the four main archetypes has a totally different set of answers. But these answers are very, very well hidden. Most people are unable to explain their most implicit values. As soon as, however, you explain the four archetypes, they suddenly are able to. Before, they're not. And why do we know this is true? Because when you work with couples, particularly couples who've been together for a while, they know that their partners behave a certain way when they get into a fight, but they can't explain it. It makes no sense that their partners continue for a decade or two to make no sense to them when they have a fight, when there's some discord, some frustration, the natural irritations of life. People relate to them differently. And the misunderstanding robs people of connection. It robs people of intimacy. It robs people of feeling safe. And all four archetypes, no surprise, have their own version of feeling safe, including the wolf warrior archetype. They become very uncomfortable when they don't experience a particular type of behavior in their partner, and they don't feel safe, even though they're the strongest person in the room. So all four archetypes are yearning for a type of response and reaction, but typically we don't get into committed relationships with the same archetypal nature as ourselves, which is another whole subject. So misunderstanding is at the center of our yearning, our souls, our psyche, if you prefer that word. Deepest yearning is to feel seen, heard, and understood. Why do we want to feel seen, heard, and understood? Because in that moment, we are made welcome. And that is absolutely at the center of our nervous system's yearning. We want to feel part of the village, part of the community. We don't want to be ostracized. Going back thousands of years, for thousands of years, if you broke major codes of the village, you would be thrown out of the village. And at best, you would be taken up by another village that was hopefully benevolent, but more likely you would die because you cannot survive in the world thousands of years ago if you weren't part of a village or community. Someone's got to get the firewood, someone's got to get the water, someone's got to forage for the food, make the huts, etc., etc., etc. So feeling seen, heard, and understood makes us feel welcome. When we feel welcome, our entire nervous system feels like it belongs. We yearn for this from our first breath to our final breath. It is essentially the yearning of our lives. And there are chapters in our lives when we feel it and chapters when we don't. And the chapters when we don't feel it are the hardest chapters of our lives. And so often in marriages and committed relationships and throughout our childhoods, often we don't feel that. And I personally believe it is at the source of, essentially the source of trauma. If you feel like you were raised in a home where you were not seen, heard, and understood, you were not accepted for your for your nature, I think you spend the rest of your life recovering from that. And likewise, if you spend a decade or two in a relationship with somebody that doesn't make you feel seen, heard, and understood, that is something that you have to recover from too, unless you don't really care. And then you probably wouldn't be listening to this right now. You care, and feeling seen, heard, and understood matters to you personally. But also, I think if you care, deep down, you want to understand the people that you love. That's where this work comes in, because it's very difficult to understand people that you can't explain. And they can't explain themselves to you. There's no wonder it's so bloody difficult. People make such a mess of things. So in summary then, what this work provides is the capacity to understand every person in your life that matters to you on a level that they are not even able to explain to you themselves. And that puts you in an incredibly strong and loving and powerful place to be at the center of your life and to be the important person you are in their lives. Children, family, partner, extended family, work colleagues, everyone that matters to you. To consider for a moment what it would be like to dramatically improve the quality of every relationship in your life that matters to you, just by dramatically improving your understanding of their nature. It's kind of like a superpower, if I'm really honest with you. It makes a tremendous difference to the quality of your life.